The case files on the world's creatures are endless. Just when you think you've seen it all, another drawer of forgotten legends opens. These are the obscure, the ancient, the strangely specific nightmares from every corner of the globe. From Australia's swamps to Scandinavia's deepest lakes, the investigation is far from over. Creature 1, the Grootslang. South Africa. Carved from the very bedrock of the earth, the Grootslang, or great snake, is a primordial terror from South African legend. According to the myth, the gods made a terrible mistake when they created it, forging a creature of immense power with the massive body of a serpent and the head of a mighty elephant. Realizing their error, they attempted to split the Grootslang into two separate animals, elephants and snakes, but one of the original monsters escaped. This ancient behemoth is said to dwell in a vast, labyrinthine cave system known as the Wonder Hole in the Richter's build. It is incredibly intelligent and covets precious gems and diamonds, which it hoards in its deep lair. The Grootslang lures explorers and treasure hunters to their doom, using its immense strength and cunning to drag them into the depths. It represents the ultimate primordial greed and the deadly danger of disturbing the ancient, untouched secrets of the world. This adds a fantastic, powerful creature with a unique appearance, elephant-snake hybrid, and a compelling myth about divine error, perfectly rounding out your global collection. Creature 2, the Penanggalan, Malaysia. Hovering in the moonlit nights of Malaysian folklore is the Penanggalan, a terrifying manifestation of dark magic and maternal horror. This creature appears by day as an ordinary woman, often a midwife or a healer, but at night, her head detaches from her body, trailing behind it a spine, heart, and dangling entrails that glow with an eerie phosphorescence. The Penanggalan flies in search of pregnant women or new mothers, using its elongated tongue and fangs to drink the blood of both the mother and her unborn or newborn child. It is repelled by thorns placed around windows and doors, which can snag its entrails. To destroy it, one must find its body hiding in vinegar and destroy it, preventing the head from reattaching at dawn. The Penanggalan represents deep-seated fears surrounding childbirth, the vulnerability of new life, and the betrayal of trust by those in positions of care. Creature 3, the Spring-Heeled Jack. England. In Victorian England, a figure of bizarre and terrifying prowess haunted the streets of London. Spring-Heeled Jack was described as a tall, thin man with a terrifying devil-like face, clawed hands, and eyes that burned with red flames. But his most remarkable ability was his power to leap over high walls and entire buildings in a single bound. He first appeared in the 1830s, attacking people by leaping out of alleyways, tearing at their clothes with his metal claws, and breathing blue and white flames into their faces before bounding away into the night. His targets were often women, and his exploits were reported in sensationalized newspapers, creating a wave of public panic. Theories about his identity ranged from a deranged aristocrat to an actual demon. Spring-Heeled Jack is a uniquely urban monster, using the labyrinthine architecture of the city itself to his advantage, embodying the Victorian fear of the dark, gaslit streets, and the unknown other who could descend from above at any moment. Creature 4, the Ngoloko. Scandinavia. In the deep, still lakes and rivers of Scandinavia lurks the Ngoloko, a shape-shifting water spirit far more sinister than a simple monster. It is a master of deception, most often appearing as a beautiful white horse grazing peacefully by the water's edge, tempting travelers to ride it. The moment someone mounts it, the Ngoloko gallops into the depths, drowning its victim. It can also appear as a handsome young man playing a hauntingly beautiful melody on a violin or fiddle, luring listeners to come closer until they slip and fall into the water. Its true form, rarely seen, is that of a corpse-like, slimy old man. The Ngoloko is not a mindless predator. It is intelligent and malicious, representing the hidden, seductive dangers of nature. It is the reason Scandinavian parents warn their children not to go near unfamiliar water or trust strangers by the shore. It is the embodiment of the water's dark allure and its deadly reality. Creature 5, the Black Volga. Poland. In Eastern Europe, a chilling legend from the Cold War era. The Black Volga is not a creature, but a vehicle possessed by malevolent intent. The story, which spread across Poland and other Eastern Bloc countries, featured a sleek, black Volga sedan, the car, famously used by Soviet officials and secret police. The legend had several variants. In one, the car was driven by vampires or the devil himself. In the most common and terrifying version, it was driven by kidnappers, often said to be nuns or men in dark suits, who would stalk children. They were said to be hunting for their victims' blood or organs to be used for transfusions for rich Westerners. The Black Volga was a perfect symbol for the fears of the time, the opaque and menacing power of the state, the distrust of authority, and the anxiety about outside influences. It transformed an everyday object of state power into a mobile monster, a warning to children about the very real, yet unseen, dangers in their society. Creature 6. The Ngoloko, East Africa. Lurking in the remote forests and mountainous regions of East Africa, particularly in Kenya and Tanzania, is the Ngoloko. This creature is described as a horrifying, hairy humanoid with backward-facing feet, similar to the Nanka of West Africa but with a more aggressive reputation. It is said to be a cannibalistic monster that uses its backward feet to confuse hunters and travelers, making its tracks impossible to follow. The Ngoloko represents the fear of the unknown depths of the African wilderness. It embodies the dangers of venturing into uncharted territory and serves as a cautionary tale about what might be. Watching from the shadows of the dense jungle, its elusive nature and predatory instincts make it a perfect figure for campfire stories meant to keep people from wandering too far into the forest. Creature 7. The Bunyip of Australia. Deep in the waterholes, swamps, and billabongs of the Australian outback, something ancient lies in wait. The Aboriginal peoples of Australia have spoken of the bunyip for thousands of years, and its name roughly translates to devil or spirit. Unlike other creatures with a fixed form, the bunyip is a shapeshifter, and its appearance changes depending on who tells the tale. Some describe it as a massive, starfish-like creature. Others say it has the head of a crocodile, the body of a horse, the flippers of a seal, and dark, shaggy fur. Its most consistent feature is its terrifying, booming roar that echoes across the still water in the dead of night. The bunyip is a deeply territorial and malevolent being. It is blamed for dragging any who venture too close to the water's edge to a watery grave. Early European settlers, hearing the strange, unearthly cries of possums or bitterns in the night, adopted the legend, attributing the disappearance of livestock to this unknown monster of the vast unfair wilderness. The bunyip is more than a monster. It is the embodiment of the danger and mystery of the Australian landscape itself. It represents the fear of the unknown water, the hidden perils of a land that was ancient long before humans arrived, and a reminder from the world's oldest living culture that there are some places where humans are not the masters. Creature 8. The Toyol of Southeast Asia, Malaysia, Indonesia. A toyol is a classic example of a familiar spirit in Southeast Asian folklore, but with a deeply unsettling twist. It is the reanimated corpse of a human baby or fetus, summoned by a witch or shaman, a bomo, through dark rituals. The toyol is then used by its master to carry out malicious tasks. It looks like a grotesque, gray-skinned infant with large dark eyes, sharp fangs, and a mischievous, cruel disposition. It is kept in a jar and fed milk and blood. Its primary purpose is to steal money and valuables for its owner, as it can slip through tiny spaces and become invisible. However, controlling a toyol is a dangerous game. If it is not properly cared for or appeased with toys and offerings, it can turn on its master, bringing ruin and death to the household. The toyol legend touches on deep-seated taboos involving death, childhood, and the corrupting nature of greed, serving as a warning against seeking wealth through unnatural and immoral means. Creature 9. The Namibian flying snake, Namibia. This legend is a fascinating example of a modern myth fueled by a perfect storm of circumstance. In the 1940s, reports began to surface from the remote, arid regions of Namibia about a massive, flying serpent. Described as being up to 30 feet long, with bat-like wings and a horned head, it was said to dive from the sky to attack livestock and even humans. The legend was likely born from a combination of factors: the misidentification of large bird species, like the battler eagle, the very real presence of deadly puff adders, and the power of suggestion in isolated communities. However, what solidified the myth was a series of sensationalist articles in the South African press, which printed grainy staged photographs of the creature. The Namibian flying snake shows how a local story, amplified by media, and the human propensity for pattern-seeking, can create a fully formed monster that captures the public imagination, embodying the dangers of a harsh and isolated landscape. Creature 10. The Lou Carcolh, France. From the folklore of the French Basque country comes a unique and bizarre creature, the Lou Carcolh, pronounced Lou Carcolh. This monster is a gigantic, slimy, serpentine mollusk, a hybrid of a snake and a snail. It is described as being immense, with a long slimy body and multiple tentacles, and it lives in a deep, dark cave. The Lou Carcolh is not fast, but it is insidious. It uses its long, sticky tentacles to reach out from its cave and ensnare unsuspecting passersby, dragging them back into its lair to be slowly consumed. Its name is the origin of the English word cockle, a type of shellfish. The legend served as a warning to stay away from certain dangerous caves and crevices in the mountainous region. It is a monster of slow, inescapable consumption, representing the hidden dangers of the natural landscape.